and welcome everybody. We are so grateful for all of you who have joined us today, whether you are joining live as we are streaming right now or watching at a later time. My name is Brandon Keating. I'm the CEO and co-founder of YOUnify, which as you can see behind me is spelled funny, YOUNIFY. And we are a nonprofit organization that is focused on creating the conditions for individuals, communities, and you to flourish and thrive. And so, why do we start this podcast? I have been hearing from so many folks how they feel maybe a little bit overwhelmed by current events or just by the pressures of daily life. And I'm so lucky to get to know and work with in my professional life people who are creating a lot of positivity in the world, extraordinary leaders who are lighting a pathway to the hopeful future. So consider us sort of like a bit of a buffet. If you are hoping for some easy activist actions that can help you and your community flourish and thrive, you're in the right place. Or maybe activism isn't your thing, but you just like some practices for yourself. Or maybe you would like to be able to make more connections and build more community. If that's your thing, you're in the right place as well. And we're going to have lots of fun along the way. So would love for you, if you're watching live with us right now, or if you're watching after the fact, just to drop in the comments. When it comes to flourishing and thriving, what's something that maybe is challenging for you right now that you'd like some help with? And what's something that is really helping you flourish and thrive that maybe you'd like to share with other people? So with that, I want to welcome my absolutely extraordinary guests. So grateful to have with us Katie Granville Chapman, who is joining from the UK, and also Cesar Cornier and Jared Ruga, who are Los Angeles-based change makers. And we are today going to be focusing into the topic of leadership for flourishing. We're so excited that the book Leadership for Flourishing is launching today, and there'll be information down in the description and the comments about how you can grab yourself a copy of that. It's an absolutely extraordinary volume that 34 different experts have contributed to, and there's definitely something in there for everybody. So we're going to be talking with Katie, who is one of the amazing editors of the book, and Jared and Cesar, who are really living into these principles of leadership and flourishing. So, Katie, I'd love to kick it off with hearing from you. You've played leadership roles in settings ranging from the British Royal Army to K through 12 education to some of the most prestigious universities in the world. Tell us a little bit about young Katie and what she was like and where the spark for these things in your journey came from.
Oh, thank you so much, Brandon. It's amazing to be here. Really, really appreciate it. So young Katie, totally hyperactive, couldn't sit still, just boundless energy, but absolutely loved people, loved meeting new people, loved trying to understand people. So I think maybe the spark came from that.
Amazing. And Cesar, you come from the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to Los Angeles. Along the way, you've been a hip hop artist, you started a fashion line, you were in a documentary film about reducing political polarization, and you also started a hip hop chess club for youth. Tell us a little bit about what young Caesar was like and what your world was like growing up and where your spark came from for all these amazing things you're in the process of doing.
Thank you so much, Brandon. It's a pleasure to be here. And in regards to how I started my activism, as you would say, or my passion for social justice, I don't think that it came from any think tank or anything outside of my lived experiences. Growing up on the south side of Milwaukee, I saw firsthand what can happen when neighborhoods are under resourced. By being a victim, unfortunately, of police brutality at a young age, I saw what happens when people abuse their power a little too much. So I was just directly faced with a lot of different challenges and experiences growing up that helped inform me and helped to have that passion alive for me to always remember where I came from and to always remember to do the best that I can to give back towards the communities that I know needed, as communities have been there for me in my past growing up as well.
Amazing. And Jared, you came from Utah to Los Angeles, and you've started not one, not two, but three different organizations that are all focused in different ways on creating media and narratives for good. So, what was little Jared like, and where did your spark come from for all that you brought into the world?
Sure. Yes. Well, I was a '90s kid, so little Jared wanted to be a boy band
Yes.
artist. Then I did nothing to actually pursue that career. So
I was hoping there would be some video.
yeah, no, maybe, but it's under tight lock and key.
Wow.
Yeah. No, but then I kind of found film as something that really intrigued me because it was so hard to make and so easy to consume, and that difference was fascinating to me as a kid. And so I made the ill-fated but ultimately survivable decision to make a feature-length film when I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but it got done.
And
From there on, I was like, okay, I get how powerful this can be to really capture a story that can connect with people all around the world. And I knew from that point forward, I wanted to do that as my career.
Amazing. All right. So next one is rapid fire. I'd love to hear from each of you. What's one thing that people who maybe know you in your professional life, or maybe people who know you at all, might be surprised to learn about you? Katie, I'd love to start with you.
Oh, thank you. So growing up, I was a synchronized swimmer. So I used to train about 35 hours a week while I was in high school to try and get as good as possible and get in the GB team. So lots of gelatin, sequins, and big smiles.
Excellent. I love a sequin, and I'm definitely hoping there's photographic evidence of that. Fantastic.
I really hope not.
Amazing. Alrighty, Caesar, how about you? What would we be surprised to learn about you?
I think people get surprised a little bit when I tell them my music background. As you mentioned, I'm a hip hop artist and I'm a rapper, but one of my first introductions to music was on stage with Dolly Parton in 2002 when I was just 11 or 12 years old. I was a part of a community initiative to basically, during 9/11, we came to New York and basically to try to bring the community together. So yeah, my first big stage was at the Apollo with Dolly Parton when I was about 11 years old.
Wow, talk about starting at the top, the goddess. Oh my goodness, amazing. And Jared, how about you? I've already been surprised by the boy band one, but you gotta have one more in there.
Oh, God. I can't even believe I'm saying this on a live stream, but I have done drag twice as a child, as a minor, as Britney Spears and as Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls. So those were for high school and middle school talent shows.
Oh my goodness.
Those videos are also destroyed.
Drat. Foiled again. I really feel like we are going to need to make a photo album or some sort of artifact if everybody's surprised up now. Y'all have inspired me. Alrighty. Well, let's start to dig into a little bit of the Leadership for Flourishing book to kind of set the foundation for our conversation today. It is my honor to be able to contribute a couple of chapters, and also our board chair, John Kessler, contributed a chapter, and Katie, it was just such an extraordinary group that we are so grateful to be a part of, that you pulled together as one of the lead editors of the book. So I think just to kind of lay the groundwork for folks, I'd love to hear from you. First of all, why should people care about flourishing? Oh, actually, excuse me, I'm sorry. Before we get there, I actually want us to understand a little bit more about when we're talking about this big word, flourishing. What does that actually mean to you? What is your definition of leadership for flourishing?
Oh, thank you so much, Brandon. So leadership for flourishing is when you absolutely prioritize the total well-being of the people that you're privileged enough to lead, and also the planet and the environment that you're leading within. So yeah, that would be how I define leadership for flourishing. And I think all our authors have a slightly different take on that because we've got quite a loose definition.
Well, I think we might be missing Katie's sound.
Should I talk again?
Okay, I have you again. Yeah, go ahead. I heard. I can't hear.
What did you last hear, Brandon?
34 authors and the different perspectives.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. I think I probably stopped there. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. Well, Katie, why should people care about flourishing right now? You know, it can sound like it's kind of a nice to have, like a little bit flowery or kind of ephemeral. And I think a lot of folks right now are struggling with what some people call the poly crisis. They're thinking about what governance is like. Is our governance failing us? They're thinking about business leadership and challenges there. They're thinking about climate change and extreme weather events. And so when there are all these ways in which folks are very viscerally suffering, why is it important to think about leadership for flourishing right now?
Oh, I so agree. It's such a tough time in the world at the moment. And I think what Leadership for Flourishing gives us is the opportunity to contribute where we can. So we're not trying to solve the climate crisis, we're not trying to solve governance issues, but we're just saying, in my circle, within my friendship group, within my community, within my local park, I can make a difference. I can make people just that little bit happier. I can make the environment just that little bit better. And that's a genuine, meaningful contribution. So hopefully it's something both attainable and really positive that we can work towards together.
Love that. And what I also love about that is thinking about how then that can aggregate up to actually change those larger systems. If we're all focusing into our little corner of the world, whether that's a workplace, whether that is the park where we bring our kids to play, whether it's our friend group, we all can actually lead for flourishing, and that can actually build towards those bigger changes in the world. So really love that. Okay. So now that we know a little bit about what maybe it means to flourish and thrive, love to do a quick rapid fire round of hearing from each of you what's helping you flourish and thrive right now, and what are you struggling with when it comes to flourishing and thriving. But maybe let's flip them so we can start with the struggle and then end on the high note. Jared.
Sure. I mean, I would say the struggle is triage.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to deal with all the time, and everything feels equally urgent in many cases. So just staying focused on what the end goal is, while not dropping the ball on any of the 1,000 things we all seem to be juggling. That's my kind of information overload these days. And I would say the thing that helps is naps.
Yes.
Nap is good. Really, the nap is a marker for taking some time to step back, to get out of your head a little bit, whether it's a walk or meditation or just listening to music for a few minutes. Like having that little break is really important to reinvigorate your awareness and ability to kind of dive in.
I love this nap thing. People, this is like the gem of the century. Seriously, I feel like my European friends are often like, girl, afternoon, nap. You can get back up and do more work. Why don't you do that?
Americans
so
don't
good.
like being unproductive, right? That's a cultural quirk we have here. But and I don't think we necessarily need to tie it to productivity, right? Like you're allowed to take breaks just for the sake of taking a break.
Yeah.
Because it makes you faster or better or smarter when you come back from the break.
Exactly.
Although it does.
It does. It turns out, bonus, it does.
Yes.
And we should be allowed to take breaks nonetheless. Yeah, I love that one, Jared. And hey, I want to welcome Scott Parsons, who is here in the chat watching the stream. He's one of our amazing contributors to the book. He has an incredible military background, both in terms of serving himself and in terms of military education. So you'll definitely want to check out his chapter. And Scott, we're so glad you're here. Caesar, how about you? What's one thing that you're challenged by related to flourishing, and one thing that is helping you flourish right now?
Absolutely. Well, one challenge that I've been facing that I also resonate with when we talk about everything that's going on is trying to have that balance, trying to take time for ourselves, trying to practice that self care in whatever ways that may be, to be able to have that input that we want and to take care of ourselves. And also, we're not talking about shallow surface level things, right? We're in a very serious situation in regards to society and the political environment of the country. So there's a lot of heavy and deep emotions that I feel that we often feel, especially doing this type of work. So how I try to balance that is finding community, reminding myself that there are so many people like my peers here that want justice, that want to do what they can to create a more equitable and free world for everybody. And when I remind myself of that by being in community with those folks, such as even having conversations like this, it definitely helps lighten the load for me to remember that this is something that is going to take a lot of us, but luckily there are a lot of us that do care. So just reminding myself of that to not feel so isolated in those moments.
Yeah, it's so easy to get stuck behind our devices, right?
Absolutely.
Those community connections really take some intentional effort these days, I feel like, but they're so nourishing. Love that. Katie, how about you? What are you struggling with when it comes to flourishing, and what's helping you flourish?
I think the biggest thing for me is seeing leaders do harm and seeing people who aren't committed to serving and being promoted into leadership positions, but really using their power to give themselves more resource, more status, more kind of ego. So that's a real frustration. And actually, it's a real driver for me of leadership for flourishing, because the really cool thing is when you promote people who are committed to compassion, to service, to love, actually the results get so much better. So there's literally no argument against it. So I do find it frustrating when we've got narcissists and psychopaths overrepresented at the top of our organizations and elsewhere. So that I really struggle with. But I love my friends so much. I'm so lucky, and my family are just surrounded by these really incredible people. And every time I see them, it's such a lift for me. So yeah, deeply grateful for friends like you, Brandon, and all my friends locally as well.
So let's dig into the book a little bit more. You were really a catalyst for this book to come to life, Katie. And not only the book, but the entire global community of practice that is hosted by Harvard and Oxford, the Leadership for Flourishing Community of Practice. So what inspired you, or what helped you or caused you to want to lead this book and this community of practice into being?
Oh, thank you. I think that I just felt so privileged to have done so much learning. Like in the British Army, it was utterly extraordinary to see the leadership for flourishing that was going on, the bravery, the loyalty, the kindness, the love. It was incredible. And I just wanted to understand that and how that was happening and what it was that was creating that culture. So I ended up doing a PhD at Oxford, and the question was essentially what enables leadership for flourishing, and then did some great learning, got connected to some incredible people, and just really wanted to keep the conversation going, because every time I have a conversation with our community of practice, I learn so much, I'm so inspired, I'm so encouraged. And then Jim Ritchie Dunham and Matt Lee, who are incredible friends and mentors, so grateful to them. It was actually Jim's idea to have the book, and then Jim really, as our lead co-editor, did the heavy lifting. And Matt's literally like the wisest person you could wish to meet, just so kind, loving, amazing. And so to get to work with them and then to bring all these contributors in who are just the most amazing leaders, practitioners, researchers was just such a gift.
Amazing. And what I love, Katie, is that you are now, through the book, inviting everybody into all of these gems of wisdom that this community has to offer and all of the practical guidance that's in there for anybody, no matter what their role is in the world, any walk of life. And we're also inviting y'all in through a campaign called Write the Future, which we'll have some links in below and talk more about that towards the end. But Katie, what are three things, bringing it down to the practical, what are three things that you would hope any person, whether they have an official leadership title or not, could take away from this book?
I think, first of all, literally anyone can lead because anyone can love. We've all got the capacity within us to love other people. And there's literally no need at all for any particular role to do that. Just love the person to the left and to the right of you. And you are practicing leadership for flourishing. When you do have a leadership position, though, you do have more influence. People do look to leaders, they have more responsibility, they have more impact. So I think that with more kind of leadership power comes more responsibility. And I hope that through the book, you can see the positive impact that leaders can have. So actually making that choice, the higher you are in an organization, the bigger the chance you've got to spread flourishing globally. And I think the third thing to think about is that leadership for flourishing does require some work on your own character, because to be compassionate, to be loving, to choose to prioritize flourishing, it takes a lot of courage. And actually, probably the easier thing is just to kind of do performance metrics and, try to raise up the bottom line and to lead through fear or through authority, whereas actually leading through love it's really challenging and asks a lot of us, but it's so worth it. So the last thing is, please be brave and go for it. It's so worth it.
I love that you are describing how we bring our own character to our interactions with others. And part of what I hear you saying in centering love in our leadership is that we're really setting the tone and creating a culture when we interact with others. And Jared, I want to go to you next, as you have built, again, not one, not two, but three organizations, two nonprofits and a for-profit company. And one thing that I really appreciate about what you have been able to do as a person, I think, because I know a little bit about you, who really does care about those performance metrics a lot, you also have managed to create an incredible culture of love and care in your organizations. And so I'd love if you could describe to the folks viewing what each of those organizations is and does, and what you've prioritized about setting the culture and why.
Sure. The first and oldest is Vivani Productions. That's my film and TV production company. We had a very ethos-driven approach when we first started, and that has carried all the way through to present day, because we recognize the power of storytelling to change hearts and minds, to create community, and to scale to global audiences in a way that very few other things can. And so that's always been part of our DNA. And then the other two, the nonprofits, are Impact Guild and Kaleido Collective. So Impact Guild, organization I co-founded back in 2019 to connect the storytellers who are using media, arts, and entertainment for social good across a variety of different issues that are pressing, that matter to people today. Kaleido is a little more specific. That is to get more queer and trans stories made and more of our community paid. And that's really about a long-term economic empowerment play to ensure that the LGBTQ content that allows people to interface with the queer and trans communities in a way that maybe they aren't getting in their day-to-day physical life, that those stories can still break through, and that the storytellers can stay in the space, because ultimately entertainment is a gig economy, right? Like, most people who work in entertainment work on a project at a time or a couple projects at a time, and if you don't have that steady flow of projects, you can't pay your bills. And so that's a really important element of what we're trying to build there.
Yeah, so much power in building community and connection. And can you say a little bit more about the culture building that you've done in each of the organizations?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, at Vivani, we've always been a small team, and so we're very kind of carefully designed around everyone contributing a different thing, right? There's very little duplication of efforts, duplication of skill set. And at the Impact Guilds, because that's a network of members, it is a community of people who are all mission aligned, but are approaching their work from very different angles. That they have some kind of shared values or principles that connect them all. And this is the PG-13 part of the language, but we have this is not written down anywhere, but now it's on a podcast. We have a very strict no assholes policy,
Yes.
right? Where if you are in entertainment because you want to be a star, or you want people to worship you, that is not really going to jive with our culture at Impact Guild. And so I think you called it egoless excellence
Yes.
in the past. It's certainly a group of people who all deeply care. They're very good at what they do, highly competent, excellent people who are also fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
And that self-reinforces, right? Because we're a referral-based network. And so the people who have bought into that culture identify their friends and colleagues who also fit with that, and they bring them in, and it snowballs from there.
Yeah, I love hearing the themes just continuing to weave through of the power of relationship, the power of connection. And I feel like whether you're starting a global network or you're just thinking about your friends in your local community, right? Surrounding ourselves with those people who are nourishing, who are positive, who are kind and loving is both practical in terms of achieving our goals and nourishing to our flourishing and thriving. And Caesar, you are a huge community builder, and I think it's such an interesting mashup that you had the inspiration to help the youth in the community where you grew up by bringing them into a community where they could learn about hip hop and they could learn about chess. What was the inspiration for that?
Absolutely. So yeah, the Hip Hop Chess Club of Milwaukee is a really special project that I'm really excited to present and to be a part of. Where basically it's a youth development program that started on the south side of Milwaukee, where, as you mentioned, we teach kids about the fundamentals of hip hop and chess at the same time. And a lot of people don't know that there are a lot of correlations when we talk about hip hop and the Chess Club of Milwaukee. And the reason why I'm so passionate about that project and so proud of it is because growing up on the south side of Milwaukee, there wasn't many events and outlets such as that, right? Like I was in the streets a lot because there wasn't too many groups or collectives and things of that nature. So when we created the Hip Hop Chess Club, we wanted to just basically create a safe space for kids and community members to come down the stop. We had an event space, eat some food, learn about chess, and just build community with each other. There's been people that were neighbors and didn't really talk to each other, but they'll show up at the chess club and be like, "Oh yeah, you live right next door." And so building that organic relationship with the community, going back to knowing who your neighbor is, and I think that having an event space in a place like the south side of Milwaukee, which traditionally is under-resourced and underfunded in regards to things of that nature, I think it provides pride for the kids as well, and it shows them there's different ways. They're getting exposed to chess. I have a kid who he just started playing with us in the program. He ended up beating all of the mentors at the end of the year. He got really good at it, and now he can see chess as a possible outlet for him in the future. So just trying to give kids some different things that they might have not thought about before in regards to opportunities, and letting them know that this is a safe space, and to show people as well, me being a hip-hop artist, how hip-hop, especially the fundamentals of hip-hop, can actually be used for community organizing and community engagement, as the pillars of hip-hop are off of knowledge and love of self.
So again, carrying that love theme through, that's
Absolutely.
so awesome. And Katie, you also started a global organization that is focused on youth. And Global Social Leaders is the name of that organization. And there's a chapter in the book where you describe a little bit about what that's all about and some lessons we can all take away. Would love to give folks a little appetizer about what's going on in that chapter. What inspired the creation of Global Social Leaders, and what makes it different from any other youth leadership program?
Oh, thank you so much, and a massive thanks to my incredible co-founder. So sorry. Check.
It's okay.
Um,
Welcome to the live. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. Yeah, huge thanks to John Harper, my amazing co-founder. Do you know, young people are extraordinary, and it's just such a privilege to just give them a little nudge to unlock their total brilliance. So we kind of co-founded this because we really believe that young people can change the world. Not to put loads of pressure on them, but just, within their community, they can make such a difference. So I'll give you one brilliant story from the early days. We had the sweetest team from Sri Lanka, and the youngest was 9. They were so cool. And they were really worried about the water quality in their local river. So they asked their teachers, "Oh, do you mind very much if we do this science project to test the water quality?" And they found out that actually it was a bit of a disaster, as they expected. They're like, "Wow, where's the source of this pollution coming from?" And they identified it as a local factory. And they didn't leave it there. They went and they organized themselves. They went to the local council, they went to the factory, they got this massive group of adults and children together. And through this cool community organizing, they got the factory to change its practices. And it made such a difference to the river. And they didn't stop there. They cleaned the river, they recycled the plastic they were taking out of the river, and they created this whole movement in their local area. It was so cool. And we're like, wow, this is what young people can do. So we just wanted to give as many young people as possible, just, a little nudge, a bit of encouragement, a bit of lifting up, a couple of tools, and just let them fly. And they really do fly. It's so cool.
Amazing. I feel like young people have this fearlessness too, right? They haven't learned to be timid yet. They haven't learned that they're not invincible yet. And I think we can all borrow a little bit of that sometimes, right? Like Caesar, when you were talking, I was thinking about not everybody would think about putting hip hop and chess together. So if you're sitting at home with some kind of idea that feels a little kooky about how to bring your community together, go for it, right? Let's borrow a little bit of that youth gumption. And, Katie, the youth don't have formal titles, and they don't really have formal power. So how do you cultivate them as leaders in the absence of those things?
Yeah, I think it's just such a good demonstration that you really don't need it. You just need some friends. It does help to have a teacher or a parent on board, just because there are some kind of bureaucratic hurdles they've got to jump over. But really, it's just such a cool demonstration that anyone can make a difference. Yeah, just bring a few friends together, find something you care about, have some fun along the way, use your strengths, and you really can make a difference. It's really, yeah, really cool.
And I want to give a little shout out to another awesome community builder who's joined us in the chat. Hallie Krinsky is always bringing people together with her lovely skills around creating food and community and music. So Hallie, thanks for joining us, and glad you're hanging out with us in the chat. One thing that Leadership for Flourishing points us toward is unleashing the power of the individuals that comprise any group. Leadership that is facilitative. So not some person in a back room making all the decisions and then handing down orders, but rather a leader facilitating the full expression of everybody's gifts that's coming to the table and creating a whole greater than sum of its parts experience based on that. And Jared, Impact Guild has really grown with lots of different interest groups and lots of different leaders bubbling up. And I'd love if you could share a little bit more with the audience about how that facilitative leadership works inside of Impact Guild.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a very small kind of part-time leadership staff who manage all of the logistics, keep the trains running on time. And that's led by me and a handful of vice presidents. But most of our leadership are just members. It's our board and it's peer group and affinity group leaders, and then people who are working on projects that they bring into the guild who kind of take point on those. And so we're really relying on people to bring in their expertise, their lived experience, both as professionals but also as people. And that's that kind of mix is going to create very different results depending on your inputs. And so what's tricky about facilitating that kind of distributed leadership model is that it's not anyone's full-time gig. And so you're competing with other priorities in their lives. But I'm happy to report that by and large, we really get people to show up for the guild because of that sense of shared mission. They all get why they're there and what we're achieving individually and together. And that's enough to get them to prioritize it when we need to.
Yeah, I love that. The sense of shared mission. And again, that could be anything from we want to have a potluck together or to we want to make an impact film that's going to change the world. And I think both of those things can change the world. Is there maybe a specific project that you might give as an example that's come out of some of that collaboration that was particularly inspiring or that you're particularly proud of?
We're in the midst of the AI revolution, right? Everyone's talking
We
about
are,
AI.
no escape. No escape from that.
And so we wanted to get a little bit ahead of that with the guild. So last year we created this cohort, this kind of learning cohort of people who were learning how to use this custom GPT that would stress test messaging and strategy and give consistent, replicable results across various organizations and projects and strategic positions. And we led this kind of training over a few months where we got people to help us build it and then use it and refine it and apply it to their own work. And that showed me the power of the breadth of our network because we were able to get so many different perspectives informing the end product. And I think in today's world where you've got so many micro communities, micro demographic splits, right? And everything's just hyper targeted across 1,000 different ways. That it's important to be able to get feedback from and incorporate those different perspectives into your product to make sure it's useful for the people who need it.
Yes, the strength of our differences coming together to create something bigger. I love that. Now, Caesar, you have been in the music business clearly for quite some time based on your debut with Dolly Parton at age 11. And it's not an easy business, as I understand it. And I think no matter what we're leading in life, whether we're trying to bring something creative into the world, whether we're doing something in the corporate world, or whether we're just trying to get up the gumption to make a phone call to invite somebody over for dinner. There are all of these moments where as humans, we need a little bit of extra courage. And I'm curious, when the music business has gotten tough for you, if it has, how did you push through?
Absolutely. The music business has definitely had its challenges for me. And especially, as I said, growing up where I came from in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where there's no shortage of talent when we talk about musicians and amazingly gifted people. But I think one of the biggest problems in regards to that is the lack of resources and opportunities, especially in a place like that. So utilizing me being here and utilizing the power of having so many people that are like-minded creatives gives me an opportunity for collaboration and partnerships. And I think that has really helped me in my career building my team, right? Like, for example, instead of waiting for me to get booked on shows, we build a team and we put on our own shows, right?
Love that.
Like building power in that, going back to almost mutual aid, like we're going to get it done ourselves. And that way it gives me more control as well on what type of product that I want to put out. The music industry can be very tricky, and throughout my decades of producing music, I ask myself, like, what type of music do I want to do? Is it necessarily correlating with what's on the charts or not? And I think me now being very passionate and intentional on using my music as a voice for justice, using my music to talk about liberation, being able to have my own team kind of takes that worry about the business and industry, because we're creating our movement, we're creating our people within ourselves. So I think that kind of empowers me moving forward, knowing that there are people that are like-minded and that are willing to join this movement, and we're talking about music and we're talking about community engagement together.
Amazing. Now, y'all, I'm gonna just take a moment here for anyone who's watching, whether you're watching the live stream or you're watching after the fact, to let you know that we really want to invite you in to the movement that we're building. To Caesar's point around community and building community, as I mentioned, we're building a campaign called Write the Future, and there's going to be more information about that in the links below and at the end of the podcast. But there's something even more simple you can do to help. There's just more people out there who need to find what is their place to begin. Where is the positive message that they can latch on to, and how can they be part of a positive community that's based on hope and taking concrete action together? So we really invite you, if this content is resonating with you, to please just take the 1 second to press that subscribe button. It really helps because it gets this in front of more eyeballs so that people can find their way into. We're also going to have links in the description that we'll add where you can connect in with Caesar, you can connect in with Jared and the Impact Guild, you can connect in with Katie, and we'll also have donation links for the nonprofit if you'd like to help in that way. So appreciate you thinking about that. And Caesar, you have also started a fashion line. So tell us a little bit about why you added that in, and how do you stay true to yourself and your values when you are, operating in this sort of consumer goods world?
Absolutely. So fashion has always been a very important part of my life. Being a hip hop artist, I think that fashion world and hip hop culture is something that always kind of correlated. But it wasn't until a few years ago when I created Keep It in Mill, my own streetwear brand, where I really got to thinking about what direction and what is my intent that I want to do with this brand. Similar with my music, I think that fashion is just another outlet that we can use to get our voice across and for self-expression. So when I first started my clothing brand, Keep It in Mill, like many hip hop merch brands, we had a logo and we threw it on shirts, and that was cool and that was received really well. But now looking even back on my music, I use it as an opportunity to where I can have conversations going based off of what people are wearing, and we can make this we can make it political. We can really let people know how we feel through our threads and through our fashion. So that's been something that has been a blessing for me to be able to utilize with fashion, with music, and see how they coincide together with art, in working towards an equitable world and working towards social justice and liberation for all.
Awesome. So we have a question that just came in through the chat, and I'd love to maybe rapid fire get a couple thoughts from everybody on it. I think we've kind of started into this topic, but maybe we can get a little bit more deep with some concrete recommendations. Kelly, who is hanging out in the chat, asks, for people like me, how can principles of leadership for flourishing be used if I don't have an official leadership role or title? So Katie, we were talking about this a little bit a minute ago relative to the youth. Let's extend it to adults. If I'm an adult and I don't have an official leadership role or title, what can I do to engage these principles in my daily life? And how's it going to help me?
Literally any act of kindness makes such a difference. It's just beautifully infectious. It's the best kind of virus ever, because when you're kind to one person, they're much more likely to be kind to the next person. And you can just start with tiny 5-minute favors, and it has such a ripple effect. It's also probably the best thing you can do for your own happiness. Then you're happier, so you then infect other people with your happiness too. So it's a complete win-win.
Is there a particular, I love this idea of the 5-minute favor. I think that's how you said it. Do you have one in mind that you have in your back pocket that you like to use or do?
I love thank you notes. I don't do enough, but I think that makes a real difference. It's really interesting when I go around places I work. People so often keep their thank you notes, not necessarily from me, but you kind of see them on their wall, these little thank you cards. And I think they make a real difference. And gratitude, again, brilliant for us, brilliant for the person receiving it. Cicero called it the parent virtue, and you can kind of see why.
Yeah, I love now it's kind of like old fashioned, right? To actually mail something, and it kind of makes it more special having this tangible thing. Caesar, how about you? What's your thought on how just a regular everyday person could kind of, do something today, something easy, something simple to take their leadership for flourishing into the world?
Absolutely. I think, once again, building relationships, I think is just a great start. I believe that it's important for us to follow those who are directly affected in whatever issue we're talking about. So I think it's good to, in the physical space and online, I think we're in a unique opportunity where we can use the digital world to connect across differences, to connect across different experiences to find community. So I think just kind of see where it feels good for you as far as, meeting people, whether it be online or in person, and to see what do they need help with, or what are some things, some skills or some talents that you may have that could, benefit the overall community and bring generosity, bring love, and bring kindness. Absolutely.
Awesome. Jared, what are your thoughts?
When people apply to the Impact Guild, we don't have them upload a resume. We don't particularly care about their titles
Yeah.
or where they work. We care about their experience. Like, what projects have you worked on?
Yeah.
Is it mission aligned with what we're doing? Are you going to be a values fit for the organization? And I think, like, a lot of people get hung up on, I've got to work for this company or this organization. I've got to have this kind of title by this point in my career. And ultimately, none of that really matters, because those titles don't necessarily track your capabilities. And so just getting out there, doing something, and showing, like, okay, here's what I learned when we accomplished this.
Yes.
That's invaluable and, in my opinion, much more important.
Love that. Yeah, getting out there, rolling up the sleeves, and I love that when you're thinking about people, you're thinking about that lived experience. That's so great. So, Jared, you created a film that won an Emmy, no big deal, called Quiet Heroes.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about that and what the purpose of that film was, what the story you were trying to tell, and what effect do you think it had, or do you hope it had?
Sure. I was living in Salt Lake City at the time that I stumbled across the story that became Quiet Heroes. And it was about the only medical team in Utah who treated HIV at the height of the crisis in the 80s and 90s. Dr. Kristen Reese and her nurse practitioner assistant, or physician assistant rather, Maggie Snyder. And really, it was a story about, yes, people doing the right thing amidst adversity. I mean, this is when it took Ronald Reagan years to even say AIDS on TV, right, or in press releases. And so that was, a personal and professional risk to stand up and defend this maligned community.
Courageous.
They did it, and they did it without any kind of ulterior motives. It was just the right thing to do, and I think that's what really resonated with people when they saw that story. We were able to premiere the film at Sundance, and then we got international distribution out of that. Found our way onto TV in the U.S. and qualified for an Emmy. And it was the defending your community without the personal gain at personal cost that I think still resonated with folks. And we the Emmy was like such a cherry on top, because in our category we were nominated against Oprah.
Oh my goodness!
And so, as you can imagine, we had resigned
No
ourselves
pressure.
to losing.
Yeah.
As soon as that, literally, I saw the nominations go out, and I was like, oh my god, we were nominated. And Oprah's in our category, so it's always nice to be nominated.
Yeah, always nice.
But yeah, no, it was amazing, and I think it showed how there was appetite for that kind of little engine that could story.
Amazing. We had another question in the chat, which is about where can folks get the book? So the book went on sale today. The timing is right. And you can get it on Amazon or Oxford University Press. So you can go to Amazon and use that little search bar for the Leadership for Flourishing book. We will also post links down in the description. And we really do hope that if you're interested, if you like this content, that you will buy it today or at the very latest this week, because again, trying to get more eyeballs, it really helps in that first week of sales. So, Katie, I would love to hear a little bit more from you about global social leaders and also what you're working on next. So, any further thoughts on what you really hope that people take away or do next as it comes to global social leaders, and then also maybe a little bit of a preview of what you have to come, or your latest work. I know you've been working on the brain science underneath flourishing, so we'd love to hear a little bit about that too.
Oh, thank you so much, Brandon. We'd be so incredibly grateful for more support for global social leaders. So, if any adults were willing to be GSL heroes and provide feedback to the projects from the youth, that would be amazing. I promise it will make your month. If anyone would consider funding it, that would be utterly incredible. It's my least good thing. I just can't raise money. Totally hopeless. So that's really, it's just, yeah, GSL just makes me so happy and so thankful for the next generation coming through. In terms of next projects, I've just finished a book. I'm just in corrections at the moment, and it's about teenage brains. So I work with a lot of teenagers. I adore them, as you can hear. I think they're just wonderful. And I really wanted to understand what their brains were going through. Turns out it's super similar for adults as well. So the book consists of a bit of science of what's happening in our brains, a bit of science around what really matters to allow us to flourish, because our brains are so key in that. And then lots and lots and lots of tools that you can use really quickly, most of them are zero cost. But all organized into different areas of mastery. So, mastering our choices. So, thinking about the reward paradox is the first section. Then, mastering our inner world. So, our emotions, stress, mindsets. Then, mastering our bodies. And then the last one's mastering our lives, where obviously I talk about love. And I've got two incredible co-authors who wrote with Sarah Laser from Harvard. She's a neuroscientist, and Sir Anthony Selden. So deeply grateful to them as well. But yeah, it's been, I think, learning new stuff as an adult is really cool, and learning new stuff that you really deeply care about. We have two teenagers, actually, two teenage boys, a 13 and 15-year-old, and my goodness, I adore them. And do I find parenting the most difficult job in the world? Brandon's actually met them. So she's nodding and smiling. And
They're
honestly,
lovely.
I truly couldn't love them more. And parenting is so hard. So, yeah, so writing the book was helpful to think really deeply about, what's our best shot, I guess? Like, where should we be investing our time? Where should we be really holding the line? And where can we be a bit more flexible? So I guess that was a big motivator as well.
Amazing. So, yeah, I'm as you're talking, Katie, I'm thinking I might still have a teenage brain. I could certainly possibly use that book. What's again the name of the book? Make sure everybody hears that.
It's going to be called Growing Minds. So
Growing
it'll come out with
Minds.
Crown House at Easter, which is really exciting, and really thankful to them as well. But yeah, understanding the brain for flourishing has just been huge, and for leadership as well.
Brilliant. And how can people, if they want to support, if they want to become how did you say it again? What kind of hero?
Global social leaders, hero, GSL
Global
hero.
GSL hero. I like the ring of that. Yeah, if you want to become a GSL hero, how does one do that? How do we get our cape?
Oh, thank you. Connect with me on LinkedIn would be the easiest thing to do, or John Harper, my co-founder, and we'll be able to send you all the information, or go on globalsocialleaders.com.
Perfect. We'll put all those links in the chat. And if they want to support Global Social Leaders financially, that would be at the same link.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much. Just connect via LinkedIn, or just connect to us. We'd be so grateful.
Amazing. Caesar, what's coming down the pike for you? What's next for Keeping It Mill and all the irons that you have in the fire?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about some new projects coming up, music and clothing related. We have some partnerships that we're excited with in regards to fashion. So going back to building community, working with different organizations and artists that have similar goals and visions in mind, and seeing how can we, put those things together to create events and create clothing that, represents something that matters. So super excited about the new music on the way, the new clothes, continuing to, just build a community. There's a lot going on right now in our city of Los Angeles, and I'm blessed to be in community with different community leaders and people that are working on whether it be mutual aid and just different ways to get the word out on how we can support vulnerable communities during this time.
Amazing. And how do people connect with you if they want to learn more about what you're up to, follow your music, buy your fashion, get involved in all the communities you're building?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram is going to be CESAR414, and that's the way you can kind of see what we got going on in regards to the music and the fashion. And then our website as well, keepingitmil.com. That's going to be www.keepnitmil.com. So y'all can get an idea of our brand and our threads as well. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And Jared, how about you? What's coming down the pike for you? Just naps?
I wish. Don't tempt me. No, for Impact Guild, we've got our big annual convening coming up in a couple of weeks. The Impact Guild Forum, that's here in LA. It's an expanded format this year, which is great.
But it's for everybody, right? Not just LA.
It is for everybody, yeah. Although you've got to fly in if you, it's in person.
Okay.
And so that.
Oh, wait a minute. So you have to come to LA.
Come to LA.
But do you have to be a member, or is it for the general public?
You have to be a member, but you could still apply.
Okay, great.
If you get it in in the next couple hours.
So, the clock is ticking, people.
There's that. And then at Vivani, we've got another documentary that we finished recently that is coming out next year. We're working on one in production that'll come out the year after that. And on the scripted side, we have a story called Kristen and Maggie, which is the biopic adaptation of Quiet Heroes. So that's in the packaging talent attachment phase right now. So still be a couple of years before that hits the market, but excited about that project.
Yeah. So if folks want to, in the next 2 hours, apply to the Impact Guild, how do they do that? Where do they go?
ImpactGuild.org is
Awesome.
our website. You can contact us through there, and we'll send you the application link.
All right. And are there any other ways that folks should know about to connect with you, or is that the main portal?
That's the main portal, but I'm online. Google me. I've got a website. I've got a LinkedIn. So yeah, there are other ways to get in touch.
You got all the digital things. Yeah. So we'll put Jared's LinkedIn below as well. Well, thank you so much, each of you, for being key leaders in the hopeful future. As I mentioned earlier, we really want to invite everybody into our YOUnify community, into building the hopeful future together, centering the flourishing of people. And our Write the Future campaign is a super easy way to get involved. It's designed to do that. So we have toolkits for you to bring to your community. You can do them at a pop-up festival event. They can be Sing the Future, Dance the Future, Rap the Future, you name it. You can do them in a university setting. We'll be unleashing, unrolling the university toolkit this Thursday on a Zoom that Katie is hosting. For literally any sector, business, whatever you're up to, we have a version of this for you. And basically what we are doing is focusing on visioning and creating the concrete next steps that we can all do right where we live in community, just like Katie said at the outset, just with your local circle, your own work place, your own park in your neighborhood, your own parents group, your own friend group, whatever the case. We're going to be having an appropriate pathway for you to vision the future and take those easy next steps that you can do in your community. So we'll put down below where to email in order to get involved with that, which is writethefuture@younify.org. And then also keep your eyes peeled tomorrow, because again, on the vein of making it easy to do actionable things to improve our own lives and the lives of others, we're going to have our first Just One Thing shorts coming out across all platforms, where you can get really easy tips to just make your day better and improve the day of the lives of others, and also maybe change the world while we're at it. So thanks again to my wonderful guests. Please check out their stuff, get involved, and we hope to see you next week on the pod as well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katie. It was so good to see you, and thanks for joining us at late time in the UK.